Hey, welcome back to the Breaking Bread Village. I feel like it's been so long that I've been here in this capacity, in this way. I'm really excited about tonight. This is our first birthday, and it really just means a lot. And it's just so much depth to what it means to me and why it's so important. But I won't bore you with all of that. But I'm just really thankful for everybody that celebrated with us, that everyone that supported us along the way. I'm just totally grateful and very thankful, more than I can really put into words. It's just really been a really fun year, really long year, very challenging year, but I'm very, very proud and very excited about it. So really excited to have this conversation tonight too with our two guests that are here today because they are our original guests. So that is a really big deal to me and is very significant for me. Kind of coming full circle. So I'm really happy that they were able to be here, even though I asked them some last minute. I'm like, it's really interesting. I had like a dream about it. I'm like, you know what? Because I kept thinking, what do I do? Should I do a show? Should I not do a show? And it just kind of came to me that, to kind of come full circle. So I believe in completion and I just believe in that. So I'm really happy that they were able to come on. First, we're going to open with William, a former guest as well, that's going to give his gift of song. And then Dr. Carmen and Dr. Gina will come on and we'll have a conversation. So I really appreciate you all for being here today. And we're going to get started.
We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
All right, let me bring on William and he can give his gift of song. Thank you, William.
Hi, everybody. I'm William Patrick. I'm from the band We the Infamous. As Aaron said, I am a previous guest on the show. I'm here to sing a song today. I first want to wish Aaron and the Breaking Bread Village a happy 1-year anniversary birthday. It has been a pleasure to be part of this journey, and I could not be more excited to be part of this evening's event. And let's just get into it. Let's keep having a conversation, y'all. I am driving up 85 in the kind of morning that lasts all afternoon. Just stuck inside the gloom. Four more exits to my apartment, but I am tempted to just keep the car in drive and leave it all behind. Either way, I wonder sometimes about the outcome of a still verdictless life. Am I living it right? Right? Am I living it right? Right? Am I living it right? That's right. Why? 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 Rent a room and I fill the spaces with wooden places to make it feel like home. All I feel is alone.
might be a quarter-life crisis, just disturbing in my soul. Either way, I wonder sometimes about the outcome of a still verdictless life. Am I living it right? Right? Am I living it right? Right? Living it right? That's right. Why? Georgia, why? So what? So I've got a smile on this hiding the quiet superstitions in my. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. No, 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 no. When I say I got it down. Everybody is just a stranger. Well, that's the danger in going my own way. That's the price I have to pay. Still, everything happens for a reason. It's no reason not to ask myself if I'm living it right, right. Am I living it right, right? Am I living it right? That's right. Why? Tell me why? 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 Georgia, why?
Yay! Thank you so much, William. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely, Aaron. It was my pleasure.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And this is William of We the Infamous. I appreciate you for being here today.
Go follow us on all the platforms and all
Yes,
your
please.
spaces.
Yeah. Yes, please do. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You too, Aaron. You have a great night.
Bye. Awesome. Well, that was awesome. Going your own way. I like that line of that song. Going my own way. So again, I want to welcome Dr. GINA and Dr. CARMEN here today. And again, the importance of them being here is because they were our first guests on the show. So it just means a lot to me that they are here today. And I told myself I'm not going to cry. So, and GINA, don't you cry with me either. We're not going to cry today. We're not going to cry. So I'm just really filled with a lot of emotion and just very, very thankful. So welcome. I want Dr. GINA, you can kind of, say hello, and then Dr. CARMEN.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Aaron. Happy anniversary birthday. Hello again, Dr. CARMEN. So glad to be back. And yes, you did ask us last minute, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world. So would have made it happen. So glad to be here and excited for our conversation. Excited to break bread.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you, Aaron, for just creating the space where conversations can be had and the community can come and break bread. Hello to the Breaking Bread Village. Hello, Dr. GINA. Pleasure to share the platform with you again. Looking forward to getting into this conversation and just good vibes.
Yes. I agree. Again, thank you guys. So I just want to kind of get started because over this year, for me, it just when I reflect, because the last couple of weeks I've been reflecting on this year and just kind of looking at some of the highs and some of the lows. And, people don't really realize what goes into doing this. They think you just kind of come on here and start It's a lot more to it. And I just said, it was a lot of perseverance and just kind of staying the course and just really having to believe in yourself to just keep going, because there are times where you say, you know what? I just want to just sit back, watch Netflix and chill, right? And I don't really want to, do this. I mean, you feel that way sometimes when you say, am I making the right decisions? Am I going the right way? And you can question yourself. And then other people add into that as well. People will put their limits on you. And, you sometimes start listening to it like, well, you have to fight against that. So I want you all, and Dr. Gina, I want you to go first to talk about kind of staying the course, that perseverance, and just staying with it, because it's not easy. And we tell people just stick with it. And it's just not that easy sometimes. So, and I know you both have kind of pushed forward and made some great marks in the world. So I want you to talk about that, Dr. Gina.
Okay, well, it's a subject near and dear to my heart. Because growing up, my father's from Mexico, so a first generation Mexican American. My mother's from Texas. They were migrant workers. They came out of poverty. And those two crazy kids had this notion that their kids could be anything they wanted to be. And so I was fortunate to have that sensibility consistently poured into me. So I honestly literally didn't have a choice to stop. For me, the journey that probably modeled, and I'm sure there's others, but for me, the one that sticks out of my journey of perseverance and sticking to it despite of, is around education. And it was, again, my dad got his GED, when my sister, who's 3 years older than me, was, 5, right? So in the 70s, he was a grown man. With a family, and my mom barely got her high school diploma. But again, they somehow knew that they had been shortchanged, because growing up in poverty, growing up brown, that was the trajectory to kind of break those family generational curses that they had grown up with. And so I literally didn't know I didn't have a choice to make it. And because they just always push forward. But it still got weary, because there was no one in my spaces that they sent me to, in my goals that I set for myself. There was no one who looked like me, who was doing what I was trying to do. There was no one who, there wasn't a model, that I had to guide me through. It was just constant pushing, and there was no advice, right? There wasn't a roadmap that I could follow. And so it was literally just my motivation to persevere has always been the investment of my parents, in me, and the fact that my dad would say to me constantly, because I'm the youngest of 4 children, and I have lots of nieces and nephews behind me, that he would just look at me and say, "Oh, this is so funny that you think this is about you. This has nothing to do with you. It's about those babies," right? And so he would tell me, "They're watching you. Like, you better finish this degree. You better keep going, because the babies are watching. Do you want the babies not to know, how to do this?" And so I was like, no, I want the babies to do this, So the voice and the motivation was very loud from my family, but it is, and so I always had that understanding that it needed to happen, but it's hard. It doesn't mean that just because I had a good support system, who all they did was want, right? They had no idea what the heck I was doing. They had no idea and kind of like what you said, like, no, this looks easy. Like, you make this look easy, Erin. And I'm sure I made getting degrees look easy, right? That's how good I was, but it wasn't, right? And there were tears, and there was a lot of self-doubt. I know we're going to get into that, but for me, the first and foremost was around just being fortunate enough to have been poured into, that you can do this, you can do anything, and the only limitation is you. And then my father always had the spirit of, I'll say, a warrior. Like, when anybody counted him out, he was like, challenge accepted. I cannot wait to prove this person wrong, right? And he loved telling us a story where he proved someone wrong. And so that's kind of always been kind of a mantra of, oh, underestimate me, that'll be fun. Let's do this, right? And so that's kind of the spirit that you have to have, when you have big dreams. And when you're breaking generational curses, and when you're doing something that no one in your sphere of influence has ever done before, you have to be like, "Ooh, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's prove some people wrong." While I'm making this way for me.
Yes, I agree totally. Yes, it's almost like you have to be kind of crazy. That's what I call it. I mean, because you literally have to almost see what's not there yet. You have to already you have to already be there mentally to get there physically, in my opinion. So people call it crazy, but I just call it determined and focused. But it looks different to different people. Dr. Carmen, thank you, Gina.
Yeah, Gina, I was totally connecting with your, the sense of responsibility, the being poured into by loved ones, and the vision that they have for you. Erin, when you first contacted me and shared, what the topic was going to be about, I started to process more from the vantage point of a framework that has showed up in my life over and over again at the different points where that self-doubt was coming in, where the perseverance needed to happen, and really thinking of it, like you were saying, like you have to have an end in mind, right? Like whatever that is, you have to see that and know that you are on your way to get there. So I started processing a GPS, right? So anytime I get in my car, I plug in the destination, sometimes even when I know where I'm going, because it will tell me where the roadblocks are, right? So when I thought about GPS, with the G, I was thinking like that guiding voice, guiding source has to be so strong to counter those barriers that come in, right? Like the naysayers, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, why are you doing that, who do you think you are? That guiding voice and source has to be strong enough and loud enough to talk back to counter those barriers. And then when I thought about P, it's purpose. When we are rooted in our purpose, it is unwavering. You can tell me whatever you want. You can think of me however you want. You can say whatever you want about me. But as long as I know that I'm moving in my purpose, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And with that purpose, there's a clear mission. I was just telling somebody the other day, every time there's a transition in my life, there's a vision, like I get a picture of what that next step is. I don't always understand what it is at the moment, but when it is clear, the picture and what my purpose is or what my next move is always lines up. And then the S it's a twofold, right? So it's solid ground, but that solid ground can come in the form of support or solidarity. It depends on whatever the situation is. Sometimes you just have to walk away or walk into or walk out alone, but know that you are still on solid ground. Sometimes you need that huddle, that tribe to wrap their arms around you and lift you up and keep you on solid ground. So as you were talking, that's the framework that kept coming back to me in various points in my life where that self-doubt has come in, where doubters were vocal, where, that was just the way I processed what you had asked us to consider.
I appreciate everything you both just said, because I mean that's so true and so important when you say it. When you talk about the purpose and where you're going has to be louder. That voice has to be louder than, because those naysayers seem very loud, right? When you are, especially when you talk about that stepping out on your own, when you're doing stuff that you have no, I'm not a technical person. I don't know. I don't even like social media. I really don't like it, right? I don't like really having to be a part of it all the time. But then I'm starting learning different things. And I say, okay, for me to be successful at what I want to do, which is a broader picture of helping people in a certain way, having certain conversations where everybody feels heard, I have to take these certain steps, right? And I'm like, I had to really challenge myself and get out of certain comfort zones. As a matter of fact, GINA was one of the, well, she was the person that told me, you have to start doing more networking. You have to kind of start being a part of certain things. And I'm like, well, I like being by myself and then just helping when I can. I've always been kind of a loner. I've always been kind of like that. I go places, I know a lot of people like, oh my God, how do you know? But I say to myself, I'm a very, I like my solitude, but I challenge myself and I push myself. So I appreciate you for that, GINA, because you spoke to me about that, I think last year when I talked to you about a vision I had regarding the Breaking Bread Village. So people like that in your circle that are telling you encouraging things to help you, who've already been kind of like on a certain path, is telling you, look, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I challenge myself. So that goes to that, what you're talking about, Dr. Carmen, in regards to pushing forward anyway, standing out there alone, even when you don't feel like it, or, when people say you shouldn't. So I just really appreciate you both saying what you said, and Dr. GINA, when you talked about, your family almost giving you that, like, you don't have a choice, right? And that's something in itself, right? That sits on your shoulders, like, I have to do this, and I'm really grateful. I come from a family where my mother is one of 7 girls. And they are strong women. They call them the Glover girls. And I'm telling you, honey, they can fix cars. I feel like they can patch a roof. They can cook. They can do all of it because that's how their parents, raised them to be self-sufficient. Almost to where I'm like, I can't handle them because they do I'm like, look, let me do something. And they are just so, capable and they want to do it. But my point is that having that type of influence around me, seeing those type of strong women around me really helped me a lot to give me that extra push. Like, if they can do it, I mean, they came from down south, impoverished, not a lot of money at all. And they all have done exceedingly well, way above what was expected of them, especially when you think about it, they're in their 70s. This is in an era where especially Black women were not managers or, in high corporate facilities or it was just a lot of things that they broke barriers of. So to see that example really helped me a lot in life anyway. So, and then I had to wrestle with my own demons as I got older, because you start hearing voices, the people that say you shouldn't do it. So GINA, did you have anything to add to that in regards to the support system and solid people around you, because that's so important even right now, because you had it as a child. I'm sure you still have it now, but, your circles kind of change as you become an adult. Can you speak to that, the importance of that?
Well, yeah. And I was going to say that I was just going to affirm Dr. Carmen's naming purpose, because there is no motivator or, perseverance fueler than purpose. Because it's so beyond you. Even if you wanted to stop, you can't stop because it's going to come and poke at you again. It keeps you up at night. It makes it so that you can't sleep. You're hungry for it, right?
That is the truth. I'm sorry. That is the truth, honey. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it's so important because that's yourself speaking to self, that you're in the pocket. This is where you're supposed to be. And no matter how you try to fight it, I'm going to keep coming at you because this is where you're supposed to be. And so there is no, because eventually I took over my own purposeful life, right? I carried it for my family. I gave them the degrees. They got what they wanted. The babies have degrees. Now it's my turn. So what do I do with it? Because now that motivation's not there anymore. I've met their goal, and it all resides in purpose. And support for me, my biggest lesson in support was, again, kind of muting my family's expectations and obligation to, and amplifying my inner voice. Because because your inner voice can be your greatest support, but it could also be your greatest critic. And so you have to learn to counter it. And mine always comes in the form of imposter syndrome around like new endeavors. That again, I go back to what Dr. Carmen said, like, how dare you? How dare you think that you can do this? Who do you think you are? Like, how audacious are you that you think you can accomplish this? And if you're not your greatest support system, you can't quiet that. You succumb to it. And you're like, you're right, I'm out, right? But so I always try to be my greatest support, but fortunate, I do have those voices. So I look at I have these three women that I don't know how they don't know each other very well. They've come into my life in different ways, and they are so obnoxiously loyal to me, like fist to cuff, like they yell at me for not being proud of, like, you shut up. Like they will fight with me about my, like, giving into my, like, imposter syndrome. I'm not going to hear it. Like they're not yes girls. They are like, you shut up right now. Like, I don't want to hear another word. And so when you surround yourself with those voices of support, it's easier for you when you have your quiet internal moments of doubt to use those voices as evidence, right, to temper that. And also, I have a script for myself because sometimes it gets bad, especially in academia where, we're publishing and everything's a rejection and you can't take that personally, and it's very competitive and political, and you're fighting for resources, and you're fighting, and your success, resides in colleagues. To where, I have to show the receipts, and I have a list of evidence that I am capable of learning and producing and excelling and exceeding and smashing goals. So that when I get in my doubt, I'm like, oh, you better go to your list. Okay, here's the data that supports my being able to accomplish that. Because sometimes it gets so low, you got to go back there. You got to remind yourself, oh, here's the receipts. You've bought and sold that already, right? You're on to the next. And so being your own support, using that support network to feed your own internal support, I think is really important.
I had the smiley seats, right? Sometimes that's like, check the trail of breadcrumbs that I left, right? Or that were left as a result of just accomplishments or presence or being in the pocket and living purpose. When I think about support, I think about, so in my own life, the word that comes back up are guides, right? So there have been guides all along in my life that have, in my teenage years, I'm a product of the Lincoln University Upward Bound program. And the director and assistant director and tutor counselors had a very integral hand in my development as a young person. Prior to that, it was my mom, and I don't say that lightly, especially given she's not here anymore. All of the lessons that she poured into me, all of the lessons that, Herschel Bailey and Denise Walden poured into me, teachers, who touched me, professors at Lincoln University, sorority sisters who guided me, and now as a leader of a building in education, there's a team that functions as a support system. And even in business, those who've gone before me, who set the path and say, you can do this and you will do it and we will help you do it. So guides have come up at critical points in my life that have done just that, guided me towards the next level of myself.
No, I appreciate that. And wow, when you talk about guys, it really just resonates with me because there are times where you feel like kind of stopping or giving up. And it's so interesting because, and this is the guy's truth, whenever I feel like, okay, maybe I need to just, I'm good, this is a lot, somebody will call me or I get a text message with someone confirming, saying, hey, something that you shared or something you said really helped me. And, I know you don't know it, but I've really been paying attention to this, and this, and I really appreciate that. And at that moment, to me, I say thank you. I said that's confirmation because it comes. I mean, at the exact moment, it's always been so amazing to me how it happens like that. When I start feeling like, whatever the question is, and it's not even often, but when it comes, it's loud. Where it's like, you start thinking and reflecting, and then that text message will come or that phone call will come, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep going because like you said, Gina, earlier, it's bigger than you. And that's the thing is that, I even have to remind myself of that this isn't about me. People think that when you do things, it's, for your own. It's like, look, everybody knows me. I can talk all the time. I can talk at the bus station. I talk anywhere. Okay. So talking is not hard, but connecting with people can be challenging, especially when you deal with people who have very different thought processes than you, or different convictions or different perspectives. I remember speaking to a gentleman that was where people called him a white supremacist. He never called himself that, so I will not call him that, but that's what he was known as. And he came on, and people were really upset with me. I mean, I got a lot of flack for that. And I remember saying, questioning myself, should I not? And I had to stick to what this was founded on. It was founded on hearing everybody, because I truly believe, and I'm sure you all understand this as educators, that when you learn people, when you talk to them, you find out some root issues or some root of foundations of what got them to where they are. You know what I'm saying? So, but you have to do that, and you have to talk to them. You have to build some type of relationship to understand why they are where they are. And but I want to say this was one moment where I was like, oh man, is this really what I want to do? After I had him on, he was so appreciative that I had him on, because a lot of people don't give him that space, especially somebody looking like me, right? So he was really very appreciative. He very, very appreciative. So then, not even a couple weeks later, I had what some people would consider a Black supremacist on, who made national news. He was all over the place, and he was on, and I'll never forget that person that I had on previously, and some of his group people started messaging me and basically telling me, that they could find my license plate number. They were watching me. They were really upset because I had this person on, because, they thought that I had a racist on. He's speaking about being a Black supremacist. And it was just at that moment, I was like, this is so insane to me, because the very thing that he was appreciative about, he didn't want me to extend that same grace to somebody else because they had a different view than he is. And at that moment, I realized I'm going to keep doing this, because that's what this is all about. We have to get past this whole idea that we're the only voice, we're the only thought, and nobody else can be different from ours. So that's where, a lot of my push came from within myself, that I have to keep doing it no matter what flack or different hate that I get. So I want to ask you guys, because you talked about both of your support systems, what would you all say to a person that does not have a support system? Because there's a lot of people out here, especially our youth, that don't have a support system, or so they think, that's there for them. What do you all say, Dr. Gina? What would you say to, somebody that doesn't have that support system, that family that roots them on constantly?
Well, I would say I'm glad that you said, or so they think.
Yeah.
Because there is not often a solo rider in this life. There's not often a lone wolf. You may feel like that at moments. And with the students I used to work with, a lot of them struggled with abandonment and trauma, and the people who were supposed to love them didn't really love them in a way that they needed, or in a way that showed them how valuable and worthy they were, right? So I used to have to tell them, find the people who do, right? Because there's people out there who find you worthy simply because you are. And don't discredit them just because they weren't supposed to. It's actually a bigger gift, because they have no obligation to, and yet here they are, right? Loving you. But sometimes it's hard to accept support and love from people who have no claim to you, because then it amplifies the fact that the people who do didn't. And so sometimes that becomes a barrier. But I always try to tell people, you take love where love is like, you just accept it, right? And you don't, and work hard to accept it at face value until maybe it says something differently, but if it ever says anything differently, but accept it when it's being offered in that moment, for that moment, and I think sometimes we, and maybe that support may come in just that moment. Like maybe it's someone you're passing on the street that said you are looking blue and gave you a hello. That doesn't mean that's going to be your support network for the rest of your world, your days, but in that moment, grab that interaction and hold on to it. Like, again, have it be the data, have it be the receipt, that when you're in your low moments and there isn't anyone there, that you can go back to that moment. So it's really constructing kind of a system of support for yourself, and it has to do with you being your support, creating your memories of moments of support, so you remember what it feels like, and just really being open and accepting for it to come wherever it may come, and again, and not let the voices of the people who maybe are supposed to, or you hope are going to be your support network, but they don't, because and again, I guarantee it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with something they're struggling with, that maybe in that moment they're not available to give you support, or they're not able to. And then just, give them grace to say, oh, you're not available for as I need you. Let me seek it somewhere else, or let me seek it from within. Because it's everywhere, it's everywhere.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying, accept it where it is. And that's something that we really have to be mindful of. And how you said, it comes in the form of a stranger. It comes in the form as a little old lady that's the crossing guard at the corner that you see every morning. That's the only person that may ask you how you doing today, or tell you to have a good day. It comes in, like you said, hold on to that memory. I love that you said that. Hold on to that memory, because it is like a muscle memory, where it's like, even when you feel them down, you can reflect on those moments and say, wait a minute, that person was kind to me, and you remember how that feels, and it does give you a little bit of an uplift. So I appreciate that. Dr. Carmen?
So with a counseling background, I was careful to not rush into this answer without acknowledging the hurt and pain and self-doubt that void itself could cause, right? So I think there is first a process of settling in to what that means as a person, and that journey might take a while, right? And it doesn't have to take a while, but I think that's a first step, settling into how it feels not to have a visible, tangible, consistent support network. But once you settle in, I think there's then two charges. One, to seek out, and two, to see it when it's present. So once I settle in and I'm aware of how this is impacting me, I can also identify then what I need or what I want, what the support then look like to me and for me. Be clear on what it is, and then seek it out. And even if in your seeking you don't find it necessarily, you have a clear vision of what that looks like, so that when you do see it in that crossing guard, or that lunch lady, or the principal, or whatever, whoever, the dream, the vision, the purpose, that rumble in your belly that is the dream that you are to birth, that keeps getting confirmed through different people or whatever. When you see it, you know it.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about, even with the birth part. Because when I first made the flyer for It's Our First Birthday, someone, and bless their heart, told me, you really should call it an anniversary. And I said, everything I do has a purpose. I don't just do, I know people think I do sometimes, but I think about things that I do. And the reason why I called it a birthday was because something was birthed, right? Something was born, and it was a vision that I had. It was like you said, that purpose, that dream that I had. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna talk to people all over the world, and I want to talk to people with different opinions, because I love genuine conversation. I love to understand people. I love people to understand me, and I love to talk to people that don't necessarily think like me, look like me, not even have the same goals or purpose than me. I mean, but I love to just kind of connect with people. And I said, okay, on this time last year, something was birthed. This was something that was, like you said, that rumble in your belly, that dream, that envision that you have. Something was birthed. So that's why I called it a birthday. And, I explained it to her. And, that things that we do and say have purpose. And, and to align with where you want to go, the ultimate goal, you have to kind of make those steps along the way. Okay, this is why I'm doing this is where I'm working towards, and it's something that I'm doing purposefully to get to that. So I appreciate you. I appreciate all of what you said, but I appreciate that part, because that was very significant, that birthing. And people just don't understand, when something is in there, it's gonna come out. How you talked about, Dr. GINA, at the beginning, even if you don't, it is going to come, it will follow you, it will speak to you, it will wake you up at night. It is insane, the dreams that I've had that aligned with what I did associated with this, why I reached out to certain people that I was like, in the back of my mind, as much as I am courageous, in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this person really going to respond back? And then when they do, it's almost like, oh my goodness, it's just, I can't really explain it. But so I love that. And I want to ask you all this. This is my other question for you all. What would you say to somebody who was just starting out? They had this dream, they had this purpose, they don't know where to start, if they should start. They're of course doubting themselves. What would you all say to them? Because you both are very motivating, very inspiring. You both, Dr. Carmen, you have your business aside of being an educator, which is huge. You have your business that you push. What would you say? I'll start with you. What would you say to somebody that questions themselves in regards to starting something new, something that you think that, you probably shouldn't start, or the whole idea of, should I start making t-shirts? It's 1,000 people, 100,000, you know what I mean? People that make t-shirts. Should I really start making t-shirts? Who else needs another mug? What would you say to a person that has a dream, and they doubt themselves?
I would say, if the dream has been given to you, it's been given to you for a reason. You are the one who has been chosen to carry it out. And with, trust that is part of your purpose and part of your contribution to the world. And so if it's been given to you, it is for you to carry out. Nobody else has to understand it. You may not even understand it at times, but trust that if it's been given to you, it's been given to you for a reason. And it might be bigger than you. It may not be for you. It may be for someone else who's going to come across that thing that you have been charged to build or create. With my business, I'm an independent consultant with Paparazzi Accessories. And, the pandemic had, caused us to pivot for a moment. Very recently, I've been able to get out and vend again. And even though it's $5 jewelry, but I forgot the smiles that the jewelry produced on people's faces. I had grown women walking into my booth, dancing, excited that they could afford everything that they laid eyes on. I had little kids walking in, eyes big, mouth drop, like, really, everything's right. So just that, right? The joy of what I do being delivered to other people, right? And then being able to see how lives are changed for those who decide to also accept it as a business, as an additional stream of income, like watching how their lives are being impacted. That makes me feel good, and it lets me know that I am on the right path with the business. In education, it is a blessing to be able to impact generations of lives. Even if I don't ever see the fruit of it, I know that directly and indirectly, the work that I do every day when I go into the schoolhouse has a generational impact that I may never see. So know that if it has been given to you, it is your assignment to carry out and to do it through the ups and the downs, as Erin spoke of at the onset of our talk.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Gina?
Well, I was going to say, because yes, and more yes to Dr. Carmen. So we're on the same wavelength about pretty much everything. And it was the same a year ago. Like, I was like, what she said times two. Yeah. But about this question, I just want to amplify two things. And it's actually two of the things I admire about you most, Erin, and I admire a lot about you. And it's your devotion to your own curiosity and imagination. If you're going to live a purposeful life and dream expansively, you better get curious and follow it and trust the curiosity. And you better have a great imagination, because most of the time you're conceptualizing something that may not exist in the form that you are bringing it to life. And someone who looks like you, acts like you, comes from your lived experience, has never done it before. And so you're not going to find exemplars because you're constructing it. So get imaginative. And to me, those two things, curiosity and imagination, are really freeing if you allow them to be. They can seem scary, but sometimes I think when we are trying to construct something that's already been done or seemingly has already been done, or, then we're like, oh, well, then this is my path. Like, we're more rigid and we're more definitive in how to do this, right? And more people offer critique about how to do this because it's been done, right? But when it's something that you're expanding that seems like it is your purpose alone, right? And it's really, get excited about the freedom of how you can imagine it, of how your trajectory there is going to be different, and then follow your curiosity. And so, Erin, like, all through this year, watching you breathe this, build this, nurture this, right, into this, what it is now. And I would watch your flyer come up, and I'm like, oh my God, she got Brother West. Oh my God, oh my gosh, she got, and I was like, whew, what a courageous, curious, imaginative soul. Wow. And I said, she must not be afraid to be told no. And that's the other thing. You got to be ready to hear no, and just be okay with it and not internalize it, and just say, okay, well, I'm going to keep knocking until I find the yes, but I might be back to you. So get your yes ready. And I just imagined you doing that with this. And that spirit of curiosity and imagination and hopefulness that you brought to this, just really manifested some voices, that most people would have said, well, I could never do that. Right. I could never get Brother West on my show. I could never get, the blue-eyed, I'm losing her name, Jane Elliott, Dr. Elliott on my show, right? The OGs of equity, inclusion, and justice. Like, come on, like, you get them on here, and I'm like, whoa, my gosh, look at her go. Look at her go. And that in of itself is inspiring. So look to other dreamers to keep going and to say, oh, they're not afraid of no's. They're curious. They're following their curiosity, and they're imagining things well beyond, well beyond where we should be or where most people have. So that was kind of keeping those traits and practices, imagination practice, a curious practice, and a non-valuing no. Like, no is just no, and then you move on until that no is a yes, right? And not internalizing it. Not internalizing the no, not applying, self-worth to the no, just allowing a no to be a no and saying, okay, well, that's not the opportunity right now. So you really embodied that this year. You did. You put on a great exemplar of how to do that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, Jeannie gonna make me cry. Oh, I didn't want to cry. My husband gonna laugh at me. Ooh, what do I want to say? So I appreciate that. I knew I was gonna cry. I've always been like this, and a lot of times, Dr. Carmen, how you spoke about having to stand on your own, you have to do that if you truly want to walk in your purpose. And it's not always easy when people call you crazy or they, like, what is she doing now? And the thing is that it's a lot of stuff that I see on my own. And I'm like, you know what? I can do that, and I'm thankful to my mother. I had to have her on one day because I've always been like this. I've always been kind of daring. I've always been like, oh, what's the worst they can tell me is no, because it's like, I just go on to the next thing. And then I always tell people, even the kids I've worked with that start off with, not go talk to you. I mean, Gina, want to be hard and not let you in. I would always tell them it's okay. We'll be friends. Trust me. And, I can really say to even to this day is children that I've been able to be a part of their births. And these are kids that had some hard backgrounds. So I'm sorry. I'm just thankful. And
it's funny. Erin knows I'm a crier.
Yes.
And I even asked her. I cry at every meeting I present at. And one time I texted her and I was like, "Will you teach me how not to cry?" And because she's always so like she's out, does her presentation, and I'm like, "How did you say that without breaking down?" And she's like, "Well, you just practice," and I focus on other stuff. And so I'm sorry that my words.
You did it. You did it.
But I just didn't want to cry alone.
No, it's okay. When I'm talking to other people about them, but when you reflect and you think and you say, wow, because asking people to be on it wasn't easy, like, because in your mind you're like, they're so grand, right? But it's one thing, and Anthony Revis, and he's a pastor here in Midland, and it's one thing that he always said that still resonates with me today, was that when he goes places, when they say all the important people come up, he looks around like, okay, where's my seat? He's always had that kind of mind. And, and he's always said, if they can do it, I can too. And, my mother, she always told me, what's the worst I can say is no. So, and she's always kind of, even though she doesn't always understand me, because, she's always supported me in dreaming. She's never tried to silence my dream. So, I've always had that, no matter how crazy it looks. So I appreciate that, because you do have to be you have to be courageous. You have to be okay to hear no. You have to, be able to, like I said, I'm a big time speaker about manifestation and seeing things before it happens. You have to be able, you got to smell it. You have to literally like be at one with it to see it coming into fruition. So I'm a big time believer in that. And I truly practice. So it's a lot of time I spend to myself saying, you know what, this will be this. And, I don't quite know what it will look like all the way, but I'm gonna do it. And, and Gina, how you talked about at the beginning, where when somebody tells you no, that's basically a yes to me. When someone like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's too, okay. And that just gives me even more fire and fuel, to keep going. So I appreciate you all. So I want you all to give some closing words. We're going to be ending soon. I have a couple of videos that I'm going to show, and you guys can stay for them, or you can go. But I really appreciate y'all for being here. But Dr. Gina, you just gave some great closing words, but I want you to give some more. I want you to give some more. Just to it's a lot of people out there that have dreams, man, that want to do things, and they don't have sometimes the money, I guess resources all together, support system, whatever they feel, they kind of are stagnant. So I really appreciate these type of conversations, because I'm hoping that somebody hears this and says, wow, I need to wake up tomorrow and get started. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's just writing it down, just start writing what your plan is, what your vision is. Because I truly believe in writing the vision and making it plain. You write it out, you writing it, you see it, even speak it out loud, you hear it, and then after that comes some doing. So, Dr. Gina.
Yeah, that's still my process. Is I write it down, I script it, I construct it on paper, I draft it out, right? And I write it in as if it is. So if I'm trying to lose weight, I don't say I'm gonna lose weight. I'm like, I am a healthy choice maker. It's what I am. It's already here, and I'm just stepping into it. So it's really important to keep it, whatever you write down, in that present affirmed tense, and not in I will be, I'm going to try to, how about maybe next year it is I am. I am, I am, I am. And then I like vision boards, but I'm a word person, so I don't do a lot of pictures. And when I was struggling to finish my doctorate, and I was fatigued at the end, and I kept asking myself, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this for a DR in front of your name? Like, why? How superficial of you? Like, why are you doing this? Right? I was trying to convince myself that this wasn't worthy and worthwhile. And so I literally, because I graduated from Central Michigan, on my wall where I could see it, I printed Dr. Gina Wilson, just like that. I printed a quote that she said she could, and so she did, right? Because I'm a quote person. And then I printed a CMU alumni, and I bought myself a CMU alumni plate, because I was like, oh girl, if you don't finish this, you're a liar. You're lying on your car.
Yes, you have to do that.
I claimed it, I affirmed it, I saw it, I wrote it, I lived it. I lived as Dr. Wilson for a very long time, and it was because I didn't believe I could, but I had to do it. And until I started to claim it and own it in the present as if it already occurred, I was still living in a space of doubt, and maybe so one day I can possibly be that, no, I needed, and you need to affirm it. You need to affirm it, and then make the steps, because you're visioning for your ideal, right? You're visioning for out here, and there's lots of steps that you need to create. So that's important too.
No, but I like what you said about how even when you had a self-doubt, you still kept speaking. You have to do that. You have to, because it's going to be times you are going to want to give up. This whole idea that it's just going to be rosy and perfect, it just doesn't work like that. And that's when you make the letters even bigger. Dr. Gina, yes, that's when you make it even bigger. That's when you start singing it to yourself. I am Dr. Gina. I do all of that. I look in the mirror, I do all of that, because sometimes I have to be my best and loudest supporter and cheerleader. So I feel that. Thank you so much, Dr. Carmen.
I love everything that you all said, and live in that space as well, with affirmations and manifestations and visions, making it plain, writing it down, and actually creating something that is seen daily. So on my phone, my screensaver is a digital vision board. So I have things about my personal life, about education, about community building, about finances, like all of that is my screensaver. So every time I go to my phone, which is multiple times a day, that is the first thing that I see. All of those things are important. And I'll go back to where I started with getting command of your voice, to drown out the naysayers, being confident in your purpose, because you know that as long as you move in that, you can't go wrong with it. And then also being solid with your support or solitude, and just, moving forward with your own personal GPS, so that you can get to where it is that you are destined to be. And before Aaron, I just want to say to you, your vision is impacting people you don't even know. And the ripple effect through the community is going to be magnified in a way that you may not even ever see. but know that you are planting seeds. You have created a vehicle, a space where these conversations can happen. And because, it's social media, they'll live on for however, who knows how long, right? So keep doing what you're doing, keep dreaming, keep creating, and keep having an impact on the world as you break bread with the village.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really do. Yeah, I appreciate this. I appreciate it. This has just been a really emotional day, and I've just not let it out. And I think that you guys could have said, you know, you talking strongly right now, and I probably would have cried. I don't know. I'm just so filled with gratitude. I'm so filled with gratitude. When you look back and you think about the amount of people that say thank you, or oh wow, I appreciate that. You don't do it for that, but when it comes, it's like, oh wow, or a single mother struggling with something, and she says, oh wow, it could be one line like today, like it could be one line that one of you all said that resonates with someone, and I think that's what you're speaking to, Dr. Carmen. And it's just that's a beautiful thing. And what's so interesting is that someone told me when I first started that oh, people have courageous conversations all the time. I said, well, not with me. That was my response, was that yes, people make mugs, people make t-shirts, people do stuff all the time. We understand that. But you can't allow that to stop you from where you're going, because everybody's path is different. Like you said, everybody impacts different people in different ways. So we have to just kind of stay that course. So I appreciate you both. I appreciate you all for allowing that vision to come to be. I said, wow, it would be so cool to have the first people on a day to really celebrate this first year, because you kind of come full circle and you get to just kind of say, this is where it began. This is where it was like that first one where I'm like, hey, Gina, I want you to come on and talk about school in the pandemic because I want to start doing it. And she's like, okay. What day? And I'm like, cool, so yeah. And Dr. Carmen, of course, you as well. So I just appreciate it. So thank you all so much. I'm going to share some videos. Like I said, you all are free to stay on. But I appreciate you all greatly, and I appreciate the work that you all do in the community. You all do some great work. Dr. Carmen, I see what you do, online, and Dr. Gina, I get to see what she does kind of, frontline type, because we live in the same community and we kind of keep coming into the same circles and doing some of the same things. So that's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you both. Woo, okay. I'm going to share some videos and see you all. Thank you so much.
Hey, what's up? I'm Anthony, author of the award-winning book, First Generation Father, and I want to wish everybody in the Breaking Bread Village a healthy and happy birthday. Love and respect.
Hi, Ava Chapman here, one of the former guests on Breaking Bread Village, wishing a happy birthday and happy anniversary in the first official year. I'm so excited to see what you guys have in store for this next upcoming year. Aaron, thank you so much for being such a gracious host. I'm so excited to see the next guest on this season. Much love and blessings.
Hi guys, it's me, Jordy from Jordy's Place. I just wanted to stop by today to give a huge shout out to Aaron and the Breaking Bread Village for making it to its first year. That's one whole year of spreading encouragement and positivity throughout the community. That's something we need a lot more of these days, and hopefully we get many more years to come from both Aaron and the Breaking Bread Village. So congratulations, you guys, and happy first birthday.
Happy birthday, Breaking Bread.
Greetings. I am Mama Mawusi of the Mothership, and I am sending out love and life, and I'm very proud of Aaron Patrice's work, telling it like it is in relation to Black news. We have to begin to be the tellers of our own story. And in essence, by giving us the real cut on information and news that we can use, it changes the game. It helps us create the strategies that we need in order to circumvent the oppression waged against us. Thank you, Aaron, for doing all that you could do, for looking at the resources that you had and making something that supports the Black community in its overwhelming struggle for freedom and liberation. Many blessings.
Hi, Aaron. This is Danielle, your friend. I am so happy and excited for you. I just want to say happy birthday to you. Breaking Bread Village. Got my earrings from the Wooden Cupcake Shop. Love y'all.
Queen Erin Patrice, Breaking Bread Village. What's going on, everybody? I'm usually more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. I'm not into all this in front of the camera stuff, so this is different for me. But, you know, it would be criminal if I didn't come on today and show my support. 1 year. Man, that's deep. 1 year. All the grind, all the sacrifice, you know, all the hard work, all the love you've been putting in the atmosphere is paying off. You know, we've come a long way. A lot of people doubted that you would even get this thing started, that you would even get a conversation going. And now, looking back, you've had some world-renowned guests, you know, very respected, well-known people, and also folks who aren't so well-known, but active in the community, famous in their own local areas for actually putting in the work and not just, you know, handing out a bag of food, making sure that somebody's taking their picture for Instagram, or, you know, announcing on Facebook, hey, I stopped here and, you know, handed out purses to homeless people. And I mean, it's all work. You can't discount it. But, you know, I've personally seen some people do things, you know, trying to build attention with ulterior motives, you know, behind everything. You know, your spirit has always been, you know, true. What people see is what they get. You're honest, you're real, and I appreciate that, and I think other people do too. And that's helped this village to grow, you know, organically. The world today has descended into, I don't know, a strange place. To be honest, it's kind of familiar. I mean, coming up in Detroit, I'm familiar with, you know, gang mentality, and that's what we got going on in the world now. Left versus right, you know, Democrat, Republican, this religion, that religion, you know, and the times have changed so much now. People don't make educated decisions for themselves as far as how they carry themselves, who they support. You know, they don't do the homework. They don't put in the work. A lot of people are just sheep. They'll read a post or listen to somebody else rant and take that position, life or death, and it's kind of crazy. You know, I remember a time where people had a situation, both sides of the situation could get a respected mediator. Everybody sit down, have a seat. Hey, this is my position, that's your position. By the time it's over, you know, everyone didn't always agree, but everyone had an understanding. And in a lot of cases, that was enough. Showing each other that respect. Hey, I'm gonna hear you out, here's my position. Even if we disagree on these matters, we can respect each other. And, you know, folks came to a resolution. You know, we kind of losing that now. And it's sad. So it's refreshing, you know, to see that you brought that back. You sitting down at the table, even with some of the folks who claim to support you, you know, if they tell you, you know, I don't want this person on the show, or I don't want you having a conversation with this person because I don't agree on their view, or I don't feel they should put that out there. You know, you still followed your heart and did the right thing. And, you know, I admire you for that. And that's the difference. That's why, you know, you're going to be more successful. People can sense that you really want to hear what they have to say. You want them to have the opportunity to get that out to the world. And, you know, I've seen some real things happen here. I've seen some real things, you know, change. And there's a lot of things that go on in the background, you know, before and after these productions that people don't realize. And that's the beauty of it, you know. And other than that, hey, just keep up the support. Keep doing things for these children. Keep doing things for, you know, the community in general. You know, these people love you. I love you. And I'll leave it at that because I'm not the star of the show. So take it easy, beautiful.